Hello everyone and welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. Today we're going to do a playthrough of Gloomhaven. Now you might be going, Colin, you have 4 different playthroughs going on at the same time. Why are you starting Gloomhaven? Well, here's the thing. I have never played Gloomhaven solo, and that's the whole reason why I have been so hesitant to do a recording of it, because I was daunted by the fact of trying to control 3 characters. But my buddy, who I'm doing this entire playthrough with on our own, Timothy, he's available for the next couple of weeks to do this run through with me. And not only that, my wife is willing to do it with me. Oh! So we're going to have a 3-player, yeah, that's right, 3-player playthrough of Gloomhaven. We're going to do a random dungeon, but here's the kicker. And I can't remember who it was that suggested this to me about 6 months ago. Instead of doing a regular playthrough like everybody else does, doing level 1 hero starting from the beginning, no, boring. We're going to grab 3 level 9 heroes. Now, they're going to be starter heroes, so it won't spoil anything. But this playthrough will hopefully show you what can happen, because when you first start out, you're not going to be very powerful. But at level 9, oh. But to make up for that, we are also going to go against level 7 enemies, which is the highest level that you can do for the enemies. So it's going to be a hack and slash fest. I think it's going to be really fun. So hope you guys are excited. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set up the game, and we're going to set up a random dungeon, and then I'm going to show you the characters, and because they're level 9s, they're going to have some different items, and so I just want to show you those so you know what those are. And then what we're going to do is once a week, we're going to do 1 room, because the random dungeons are 3 rooms, so do 1 room a week. We'll put those up, and you guys can enjoy them, and then give us suggestions. Now, I have to make a quick call out to my wife because I am recording now in our own board game room. That means I don't have to take this game down anymore. You know what that means? I get to save so much time. I used to have to take the game down every night and then put it back up. So hopefully this means that I will save time, which means more games for you guys to see. Woohoo! So anyways, a huge shout out to my wife. Thank you, Monica. You are amazing. Here are the 3 characters that we're going to use in the playthrough. Timothy is going to be the Tinker, Monica is going to be the Spellweaver, and I am going to be the Brute. Now, because we're all level 9, we'll all have our highest level of health. So, what is that? 20, 26, and 14. Now, if you have the 2nd edition of the game, you'll have these awesome trackers. I did back the 2nd edition so I can get them, but I still haven't gotten my copy, and I'm just giving up. I'm not going to wait that long. So we're going to have to use the old tracking system, but that's okay. You can see the new ones in tons of other playthroughs that are out there. One of the things I'm hoping you guys can help me with is let me know which character you guys would like to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 1 character that you guys are, and we'll show that person's cards, and we'll show you how we're making that person's decisions of the card play, and the other ones will be off camera because it'll be just like you're playing it in a co-op mode where you don't know what the Spellweaver or the Brute is going to play. So that's what we're going to do, but we don't know which one of the heroes you guys want to see. We have to know by this evening. So let me know in the comments below because we're going to record our first dungeon room tonight. So please let me know. Would you like to see the Tinker, the Brute, or the Spellweaver? So here we have our Tinker. The first thing you want to do is look up here on the top right. This says 12. That means you can have a set of 12 cards at the beginning of the game for your hand. Okay? Each character will have a different number there. On this spot of your player board, nothing is particular to your character. This is all the same for everybody. It just shows you how the rounds work, all the different steps. And we'll go through that in the playthrough. Over here is where you track your XP, and you'll have those cool trackers if you have the 2nd edition, but we're not going to even worry about that because we're already at level 9, the highest level, so can't level up. And then lastly, down here, you have your health. So our Tinker has 20 health. Here we have our set of 12 cards that we're going to use. Now, this is a custom build. Every time that you play this, you're going to be able to pick your own 12 cards. But dependent upon your level, you can only grab a specific amount of leveled cards. So if you were only level 1, all you could do is grab level 1 cards or the X cards. If you were level 3, you could grab 1 level 3 card, 1 level 2 card, and any level 1 or X cards, okay, up to 12. But since we're all the way at level 9, we've got ones that are level 9, some that are X's, some that are 5s. And so each one is going to be designed specifically to how we play. And also, I just want to do a quick call out. Jeff Fike, I think that's how you say your last name, Jeff. He helped us do these builds. Now, they're not exactly the same as what he said, but he helped us kind of get a good idea because, to be honest, we have never played a level 9 hero before because you usually retire your hero before they get to level 9. So this is going to be an experience for us as well. Each character will also have a response deck. Now this response deck will start out generic. Everybody has the same setup for a response deck. But as you gain perks, you can take specific cards out of your deck, put other cards into your deck, and so this is one of the ways that you become your own character in this game. Since we're playing at level 9, we took all the perks and assumed that these players had gotten those perks. So this is a fully upgraded response deck. And you'll be able to tell because there's ones that, oh yeah, give wounds. And this icon right here tells you that is a specific Tinkerer card that only he could put in his deck. But then you see how these say player 3? Those ones are basic cards that you'll start off with. So you'll see how those work during the playthrough, but you'll want to make sure to grab your response deck. And if you're at level 9, you're going to have some fun. The next thing to set up is your items. Now, some of these items you may not have unlocked yet in your playthrough, and so if you see one, you're going, what the heck, I haven't seen that. That's just because you probably haven't unlocked it yet. We went through and grabbed the best items that we could find for our characters because we wanted this to be an epic fight. So how this works is you can have one footwear, you can have one body wear, one helmet, and technically you have 2 hands. But Timothy decided not to take anything with his hands. And then you can have small items, which have these little small item icons. Oh wait, this is one hand, so he has something for one hand. But then you can have small items equal to your level divided by 2 rounded up. So 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, rounded up is 5. So he could technically have 5 items if he wants. He has 4 items, one-handed weapon, a helmet, some armor, and some footwear. And you'll see how all of these work during the playthrough. The next hero or mercenary we should look at is the Spellweaver. This one will be controlled by Monica. She has 14 health and she'll only have 8 cards in her hand. In this game, one of the ways you can become exhausted and go out of the game is if you run out of cards in your hand. So the Spellweaver has less cards and has less overall health as well. So she is a little more squishy because of that, but she's got some pretty powerful cards. So this is our 8 card setup that we're going to use for the Spellweaver. And you'll see all these cards during the playthrough. The Spellweaver will also have her own items and her own response deck, but once again, we'll just see those during the playthrough. And finally, we have the Brute. Probably the best character ever. No, I've played the Brute, so I really like the Brute. But we've got 26 health and 10 cards in hand. Here is our 10 card build, so I'm really excited to give this one a shot. And there are some cards. I only got to a level 7 when I played the Brute, so I have this level 9 here. Oh, it looks awesome. So I'm really excited for this play. The Brute will also, of course, have his own response deck and his own items as well, but you'll see those in the playthrough. Normally, if you're playing in the campaign mode, which I highly recommend, if you own this game, play in the campaign mode. You do not need to use the random dungeon. There are plenty of scenarios for you. But I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, so I am doing a random dungeon. So normally you would draw a road event to go to wherever you're going for the scenario, the specific scenario. You might even draw a city event because you might be in the city before this. We're not doing any of that. Instead, we're going to draw a card from the random dungeon deck and the random enemy deck. Now, I say random, but Timothy and I thought it'd be kind of fun to have a thematic playthrough here because we're just trying to show you how much fun this game is. There's so many videos out. I mean, you got Doug Herring. He's got a great playthrough series. You've got John Gets Games. He does an amazing job of going through the rules. You've got Rado. You've got so many different playthroughs of this, and we just felt like what we're trying to show you here is how much fun this game can be. Because sometimes you get bogged down by all of the rules. And so we want to show you it really isn't that bad and how much fun it can be. So because of that, we already set up the 3 tiles that we're going to see and the 3 different enemy types so that we can kind of have a boss in this 3rd room and just make it as thematic as we can. So normally this would be random, but we'll just flip it over. Oh, it's the trail. I had no idea. And then the enemies, we're going to have wild enemies. So it's the wild trail. Looking at the dungeon card, there's a couple things to note. First of all, you see where this is green? This is where we're going to come in on the tile. So we'll all have to be in this area. This icon right over here means that's where we're going to have to move on to the next tile. Now, if this was our 2nd or 3rd room, this minor or major effect could go into play. But since this is the 1st room, neither of these go into play. You can see that the trail has all these numbers on it, and what those equate to, which is really kind of cool, is the random enemy card. So you see how there's a 1 here next to this bear? That means that this bear, if it spawned, would go into the spot 1 on this card. So just for an example, it would go right here. And so that's how every time you play a random dungeon, you can get a random tile with random enemies in random places. It's so flippin' cool. This card also helps you, depending upon how many players you're playing with, if you need to have enemies placed or not. So you see how in the upper right corner, because we're playing 3-player, we're looking over there. So that's yellow. That means we have to put an elite bear here at 1. We put a normal hound, normal pixie, I think it is, an elite pixie. The traps are always there. But you see how it's black here? That means on a 3-player or a 2-player, you don't include this bear. And then over here we have a regular pixie. So we'll set all of this up. We also have a treasure. And this treasure, if we land on it, what does it say? It says cure all negative conditions. Cool. So if we land on that, we cure all negative conditions. So here we have the 3 enemy cards for the 3 enemies that we're going to see in this room. Now you can see there's a 7 up here because that is the enemy type, the enemy level that we're going to play against. Normally you determine level by taking the average level of your heroes, which would be a 9, dividing it by 2, which would be 4.5, and rounding it up. So we'd be normally going against level 5s. But because we've played it a little bit more than the average bear, probably, who knows, but we've played it a lot, and we feel like we want it to be hard, we decided to move them all the way up to level 7. That means this is going to be a hard playthrough, but that's okay. It'll be more fun that way. What's so cool is Isaac made these cards, so all you have to do is switch them to a different side to show you what changes based on what level they are. So you can go all the way down to level 0 even if you want to make the game easier. Just, so freaking cool. Okay. Now, what you see over here is this is the stats for the non-elites. So they have 6 health. This is for the forest imps. 6 health. Their movement is 4. Their attack is 3, and they have a range of 4. They also always have a shield of 2, and every time they would curse whoever they attack. The elites are even more wonderful. 11 health, 4 for movement, 4 for damage. They have a range of 4, shield of 2, and curse as well. And up here, this means that they're a flying creature, which means that they can jump over anything. They can fly over it. So you also have that to make sure to take that into account. The cave bears at level 7 are wimps, only 22 or 33 health. And they both wound, and wounds are terrible because every round you take another point of damage, and they would wound every time they attack. Oh yeah, and did you see this? Damage of 5 or 7. And the final enemy, the hound. So they have 15 health both for the elite and the normal. The only difference is retaliate 4. Versus retaliate 2. So if you attack them from an adjacent area, they hit you back for that amount of damage. And it looks like the elites do go a little bit faster and hit just a little bit harder. So now how do you determine who is on the board equates to which enemies? Well, Isaac thought of that too. You see, you slip that little thing right in like that. And now if I have this hound, the hound has a number 6. Because it has a number 6, we put all the wound tokens or any status tokens here, and we know it relates to the hound. And here's the other thing. We're going to play this way to show you guys how this game works, but there's actually apps now for this. People have created a website, and I'll put links in the description below where you can do all of this online, which is amazing. It speeds up the gameplay immensely. But we thought, at least for the first part of the playthrough, we would use these because it's just it's easier on camera. But if you guys really want to see the apps, let us know and maybe we can show you that. Here we have our trail map. Now we've already populated it with our enemies. I know it's hard to see because they're all straight up and down. We've got our hound over here. We've got 2 regular fairies. We've got our elite cave bear here. We have our other fairy here, or pixie, and then a hound over here. There are 2 coins that we could potentially loot, but for this playthrough, looting is really not going to matter because we don't really care about coins. We're just going to try and survive. Here are boulders, so we can't go through them, but we can use line of sight through them. They don't block line of sight, but we can't move through those areas. Then you see these areas right here. These are traps. If you step on them, you take trap damage equal to whatever it says in this chart based on the level of the scenario. I can't remember what it is right now, so I'd have to look at that. I'll let you know in the playthrough how much damage you'd actually take. But you also become wounded and you become immobilized. Being immobilized means that you cannot move during the next turn. And wounded, like I said before, each round you take 1 point of damage. There is this awesome chest way over here, and we can cure all negative effects on ourselves when we land there, because these pixies are going to be cursing us left and right, so it's really going to help us to be able to go there at the end of this room. And of course, we have our awesome looking painted minis from Charles Carper over here. We've got the Tinkerer right here, the Spellcaster, probably my favorite one. Oh, looks so sweet. And the Brute. Who am I kidding? The Brute's my favorite. So we're going to place our 3 heroes here, or mercenaries, ready to take on these enemies. You'll also want to set up your element table. There are many cards, especially with the Spellcaster, where we're going to throw elements in the air, like earth, or snow, or fire, or moon, or wind, or sun. And when we do that, they come up into this strong area. Now, enemies can use that, but so can we. And at the end of each round, if it's not used, it'll go to waning over here. And at the end of that round, if it's still not used, it'll go back all the way down to inert. So we'll be tracking different elements here because certain cards will get certain benefits if those elements are present in the air. I almost forgot to mention, the monsters themselves, they also have a response deck. Now this response deck is never upgraded, and it's always the same as your basic response deck. So it doesn't get upgraded. Instead, how enemies get harder is they have better abilities and they hit you just a lot harder. I don't know how many times I've said final, but I keep forgetting something. You also need the enemy AI decks. Each one is 8 cards big, and what you'll do is each round you'll flip these and it'll tell you what those enemies are going to do and what initiative they're going to have. So this Cave Bear would move at a +0, attack -1, but could target 2 heroes. The Hounds would move at 26, move an attack at +0, and then the Imp here would just move an attack at 37. So each round you'll be flipping these, and you won't know what they're going to do because these cards will be shuffled up, and as you go through, once you find a card that has one of these symbols that I'm going to find in the Cave Bear, of course, it's probably going to be at the bottom. Yeah, it's going to be at the bottom. Here we go. Once you get a card that has this symbol, well then all of them get reshuffled back in, and then you draw new ones for the next round. That is the setup for the game. You might draw battle objectives, and battle objectives are very important when you're not level 9. But since we're already level 9, we've maxed out on our perks, we cannot get additional perks. So the battle objectives are useless, so we're not going to use them in this playthrough. But those battle objectives are personal objectives for you to be able to obtain check marks so you can upgrade your response deck. You're not supposed to share the battle objective, and sometimes that battle objective might be kind of weird. It might be like, hey, you need to go exhausted this round or in this game to be able to achieve your perk. So that means you actually have to kill yourself. So it all depends upon which battle objectives you choose. But that's it. I hope you guys are excited for this playthrough. I am so pumped to show you guys this game. Like I said, there's tons of great playthroughs. Adam from Rolling Solo's got a great one. Doug Herring, I think I mentioned that before. He also does John Gets Games. He has a phenomenal playthrough of this game. So we're trying to show you guys something a little bit different. I hope you guys have fun watching 3 level 9s take on some level 7 enemies. Make sure to let me know which one of these mercenaries or heroes you would like to be. The Brute, the Spellweaver, or the Tinkerer. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.